exposed. Hiding in fear. A virgin mail-order bride discovers incredible love when a little girl takes her hand. Maria stepped off the bus, her heart pounding with a chaotic mix of hope and dread. The picturesque town, painted with autumn colors and lined with quaint shops, felt foreign to her, a postcard from a life she dreamed of, but had never truly lived. She was a mail-order bride, a label that wrapped around her heart like chains. Once she had been full of dreams, but life had stripped her of so much. Now she faced judgment and whispers before she even took a step. But there was light in the shadows. Lucy, a 7-year-old girl with a vibrant smile and an infectious laugh, danced through the diner's entrance as if she was the sun breaking through Maria's lingering clouds. And then there was Jake, her father, a widowed war veteran haunted by memories no one could see. Their lives collided in that moment when Lucy spotted Maria and bounded over, her big eyes wide with curiosity. "Are you my new friend?" In that simple question, Maria felt warmth bloom in her chest, mixing with the cold grip of anxiety that often clutched at her heart. Lucy's innocent acceptance gifted Maria a glimmer of hope, a fleeting moment where she could picture a family, a life freedom from fear. But doubt loomed, clawing at her mind. Would they accept her? Would small-town whispers chase her away? Maria absorbed the sights, the clink of plates, the laughter, the smell of fried food wafting through the air. As Jake approached, a quiet intensity replaced his previous warmth. He looked like he carried the weight of the world on his shoulders, yet the kindness in his eyes mirrored Lucy's spirit. "Welcome," he said, casting aside his reservations as if he sensed her trepidation. His smile and Lucy's laughter reached into her soul, offering an invitation she longed for. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Days turned into weeks, and love began to weave its magic in the small diner. The atmosphere brighter with each shared meal and laughter-filled game. Yet, as her emotions deepened, fear blossomed too. It all came crashing down one rainy afternoon when Lucy fell ill. Maria's heart clenched at the sight of the little girl. Feverish and fragile, like a flower wilting in a storm. The moment offered a chance to show love, but her heart trembled with hesitation. What if I mess it up? A flicker of courage overcame her as she tucked a damp cloth against Lucy's brow, whispering comfort. Something within her cracked, releasing a flood of warmth she thought long buried. Just when it seemed their bond was solid, the cruel voice of a neighbor echoed through town, planting poison in the air. "Who does she think she is, a mail-order bride coming here to steal our men and our children?" As the community gathered for the harvest festival, the whispers grew louder, threatening everything she had started to build with Jake and Lucy. Maria felt a knot of urgency settle in her stomach. This was her moment to confront her fears, to stand for the love she was beginning to feel. With every step toward the crowd, her heart raced. Would they welcome her or cast her aside? All eyes were on her, the atmosphere thick with a tension that demanded a response. Would she retreat into the shadows of doubt again? Or would she embrace this chance to fight for a family? As Maria approached the crowd, she felt like she was stepping onto a stage, the spotlight harsh and unforgiving. The murmurs skated through the air, sharp and stinging, but amid the clamor, she focused on Lucy's small hand in hers. The steady pulse of that innocent trust steadied her nerves, even as uncertainty fluttered in her chest like a caged bird desperate to fly. "Simon Maria," Lucy said, her voice a vibrant chirp, pulling Maria closer. "Everyone's waiting for you." The warmth of the little girl's enthusiasm momentarily washed over her anxiety. But as they drew nearer, faces turned. Some were friendly, but many others were hesitant, their eyes narrowing like knives. Maria could feel the judgment sinking into her skin. They were judging her, a stranger in their midst. Jake stood on the other side of the crowd, his stature strong and protective. But even he couldn't shield her from the whispers. "Mail-order bride," a voice hissed, barely audible but filled with venom. "Who does she think she is?" Maria swallowed hard, her throat dry. She could have run back to the safety of the diner, away from prying eyes and harsh words. It would be easy to retreat. Yet her mind raced back to her first days in town, the laughter, the stories, the way Lucy had looked at her with pure affection. Would she throw that away? Would she allow fear to dictate who she could become? I am not here to take anything. Maria finally found her voice, her courage rising. I am here to love Lucy, Jake, and this beautiful town. Her words came out like tiny flames, small but fierce against the storm of doubt. The gathering shifted slightly. Some faces softened, intrigued rather than hostile, but many remained skeptical. Jake's expression was a blend of pride and concern as he stepped forward slightly, offering silent support. His unyielding gaze met hers. In that moment, she felt a swell of belonging that began to drown out the doubts. Just then, Lucy tugged at her hand, her eyes glinting with mischief. Can I tell them a secret? Laughter erupted from the crowd, breaking the tension like a warm sun after a storm. Sure, sweetheart, Maria said, feeling the pressure lift for just a moment. With a twinkle in her eye, Lucy declared, Maria makes the best chocolate chip cookies ever. And she dances in the kitchen like no one else watching. That made several chuckles erupt among the townsfolk. Maria couldn't help but smile as the laughter twirled around them, weaving threads of connection that replaced whispers with conversations. But as quickly as the tension eased, Maria could still feel a shadow lurking at the edges of acceptance. Although the community's laughter was a bomb, the whispers didn't disappear. A challenge lay ahead. They wouldn't simply accept her easily. Days passed after the festival, but seeds of doubt began to sprout once more. In her heart, Maria feared that the acceptance felt in that moment might be fragile. Would the warmth shared in laughter last? Would they still stand with her against the whispers? One morning, while preparing for the weekly community bake sale, Maria peeked outside. She saw a familiar figure, the woman who had been vocal in her disapproval. The tension in Maria's stomach bundled tightly again. She wanted to retreat, to hide. But in that moment, she decided against it. This is my life now, she said aloud, and suddenly, everything shifted in her heart. With newfound resolve, she stepped out to greet the woman, ready to face whatever would come next. What she didn't expect awaited her when she opened the door. Do you really think she has what it takes? The woman asked, eyebrow raised, her voice sharp. As their eyes locked, Maria felt a jolt of determination. Would this be her moment to show she belonged? Or would fear take hold again? Maria took a deep breath, her heart pounding as she prepared for a confrontation. The woman's dark brows knitted together in skepticism, challenging Maria to stand her ground. I do believe I have what it takes, Maria replied, her voice steady, though inside she felt a storm brewing. I'm here because I choose to be. Not just for Lucy, but for all of us. She gestured toward the bustling community around them. I want to be a part of this town. A pause hung in the air, thick with tension. The woman seemed to weigh Maria's words carefully, her eyes flickering with an emotion that could either be disdain or reluctant respect. After what felt like an eternity, a dry chuckle escaped the woman's lips. You really think love can make you part of this community? This isn't a fairy tale. No, it's not, Maria said, emboldened. But I believe love can build bridges. We can be stronger together than apart. The woman's face hardened for a moment, but cracked just enough for Maria to see the flicker of a smile hiding behind her guarded demeanor. It's easy to say, harder to do, she replied, scrutinizing Maria's reaction. You'll find out soon enough. With that, the woman turned to leave, slightly softening her posture. But Maria felt the weight of her challenge linger, as if a door had opened for a fleeting moment only to slam shut again. Was she truly ready for the fight that lay ahead? Back inside, the bake sale was already buzzing with activity. Flour dusted the tables like fresh snow, and the sweet scent of cinnamon and sugar filled the room. As Maria approached, a few heads turned, some welcoming, others cautious. She caught a glimpse of Lucy, delightedly chatting with a couple of other children. Every laugh and giggle from Lucy reminded Maria of why she had come to this town. It was more than just a fresh start. It was about building a family, creating a home. While arranging her cookies on the display table, she felt a soft touch on her arm. It was Jake, his protective nature radiating a warmth that steadied her nerves. You did great, Maria, he said quietly, pride dancing in his gaze. You stood up for yourself. That counts for something. Does it? Will they see that? Maria asked, vulnerability creeping back into her voice. He nodded. It takes time and they need to see you consistently. Just keep being you. They worked side by side, laughter escaping them as they icing cupcakes and rolling dough. It felt right, like a small glimpse of what their life might be together. But in the back of Maria's mind, the nagging voice of doubt still whispered, what if it wasn't enough? As the bake sale continued, the townsfolk began to mingle, sharing smiles and stories. Slowly, Maria noticed more familiar faces approach her table, and cautious smiles began to soften the wearable weight of uncertainty on her shoulders. A group of women stepped forward, their laughter pealing through the air. We heard you make an amazing cookie, Maria, one of them declared, a twinkle in her eye. How about you teach us your secret recipe? That question sparked others, igniting conversations around the table. For the first time, Maria felt threads pulling her into their fabric, weaving her into the lives of the community. But just as she started to believe she could find her space, the woman who had challenged her earlier emerged from the crowd, a determined look etched on her face. I still want to know if you are as good as you say, Maria. How well do you truly fit in? The tension shifted again, thickening as eyes turned toward Maria, the atmosphere heavy with expectations. Would she rise to the challenge? Or would fear envelop her once more? With her heart racing, Maria knew it was time to show them not just who she was, but what she could become. With a deep breath, she squared her shoulders and prepared to reveal her true self. Maria felt the energy of the room pulsating around her, as if time had slowed to a crawl. The woman's piercing gaze, unwavering and demanding, felt like a spotlight on her. As the minutes slipped by, she pressed her lips together, searching for the right words while maintaining the fragile thread of confidence she had built. Okay, let me show you, she finally said, her voice rising above the chatter. A tingle of nerves flared in her stomach, but there was a weightlessness to her resolve. I'll make my cookies right here, right now. Let us see if they can bring a smile to your face. The murmurs of surprise that rippled through the crowd were distracting but invigorating. Maria moved to the makeshift kitchen area at the back of the room, feeling every eye on her. She could already picture the ingredients on the table, the sugar, the flour, the chocolate chips, all symbolic of her hopes and dreams. Jake was at her side in an instant. You've got this, Maria. Just think about Lucy, he whispered, his encouragement a steady anchor in the sea of uncertainty. She nodded, pulling together the ingredients with a fierce focus. Each spoonful measured, each stir of the batter infused with the conviction that what she was doing mattered not just for her, but for everyone watching. The crowd began to lean in closer, drawn by curiosity. As she mixed, she shared snippets of her story, how baking had been her mother's way of showing love, how cookies were often the centerpiece of family gatherings back home. Each word broke down the barrier she had felt with the townsfolk, a universe of strangers becoming allies with every shared memory. Maria poured the glossy batter into a pan and slipped it into the oven, wiping her brow with the back of her hand. The aroma soon enveloped the bake sale, weaving its way around people who whispered and exchanged glances, some even smiling. Then she heard it, a giggle. Lucy stood by the door, her eyes sparkling like the stars on the first clear night of autumn. Maria couldn't help but smile back at her daughter. In that moment she felt invincible. The timer chimed, and a hush fell over the crowd as she pulled out the tray. The cookies had risen perfectly, golden and inviting. As she shared the first warm cookie with Lucy, the joy on the little girl's face disarmed even the most skeptical expression in the group. Mom, this is the best cookie ever, she exclaimed, chocolate smudged across her cheek. The moment felt electric. Maria held up another cookie, offering it to the woman who had initially challenged her. Care to try? She asked, steadying her breath and holding the cookie as if it represented all her hopes. With a measured glance, the woman stepped forward, hesitating for just a second before taking the offering. She took a bite, and the tension that had clung to the air dissipated like morning fog. The initial look of skepticism on her face softened into surprise, then something close to approval. This is surprisingly good, she admitted, with a hint of begrudging admiration. The audience laughed lightly, the softened atmosphere warming their spirits. Suddenly, Maria felt a surge of acceptance, but a flicker of doubt still lurked in the corners of her heart. Was this enough? The woman's eyes held secrets she couldn't decipher. What had shifted so quickly? But before she could dwell on it, another group of children rushed forward, clamoring for cookies. Can we help? They squealed, eager for a taste of the magic Maria had created. With her heart swelling with happiness, she nodded, a grin breaking across her face. They all gathered around, transforming the moment into something vibrant and alive, pulling her deeper into the fabric of the community. Yet, just as joy began to settle in her heart, she caught sight of the woman looking at her again, this time with a mix of admiration and challenge. Let us see if you can keep this up. Today was just the beginning, she said softly, her voice tinged with something that felt more like an invitation than a threat. Maria felt the weight of the world on her shoulders but knew she wouldn't turn back. For Lucy, for herself, and for the community that was slowly starting to embrace her. With that, she made a silent vow to push through the fears nestled within her. But the question lingered: did love really hold the power to bridge all divides? As she joined the children in laughter, a new sense of determination ignited within her. Little did Maria know, a greater challenge waited just around the corner, one that would test her strength and redefine what it meant to truly belong. Would she embrace the trials ahead, or would she falter when the stakes grew higher? Maria's heart pounded with excitement and uncertainty as she watched the children scramble around the table, eagerly reaching for cookies. Their laughter filled the room, wrapping around her like a warm embrace. Each giggle and smile seemed to light up her spirit, but in the back of her mind, the mysterious woman's words lingered, challenging her to prove herself beyond this moment. Can we help you make more? One little boy shouted, his face smeared with cookie dough residue. Maria was taken aback by their eagerness, but it ignited a spark within her. Of course, each of you can put your special touch in, she replied, embracing the chaos. The kids scampered to find bowls and spoons. Maria felt a wave of joy wash over her as they began tossing in sprinkles and nuts, each addition a unique representation of their personalities. The kitchen turned into their playground, vibrant and chaotic. Their laughter was a melody, pulling her deeper into a community she had always longed to be a part of. Jake leaned next to her, a warm smile on his face as he watched the kids get lost in their creations. Look at them. You've won them over, Maria. She chuckled as one child proudly presented a cookie shaped like a heart, decorated with a rainbow of sprinkles. It's beautiful, Maria exclaimed genuinely, bending down to admire the creation. But as she praised him, she caught a glimpse of the woman assessing her from a distance, her expression a mix of contemplation and challenge. Just then, the woman approached the table, her presence commanding attention. Maria's heart raced. What would she say now? Sorry to interrupt, the woman began, crossing her arms. I just wanted to see how you handle the chaos. It's easy to impress with just one batch. The challenge hung heavy in the air, and Maria felt her cheeks flush. The doubt threatened to creep back in, but she inhaled deeply, steadied by the laughter bubbling around her. She thought about Lucy's eyes sparkling with joy, and the warmth of the laughter behind her. I'd love to bake with everyone. How about we make it a competition? Maria suggested, rising to the challenge. The kids cheered, clearly thrilled by the idea, but the woman merely cocked an eyebrow, intrigued at a competition not just for the best cookie, but for the spirit of collaboration, for embracing one another. We'll work together, and the winner will be the ones who bake with love, Maria added, infusing her words with conviction. Love is the secret ingredient. As the chaos picked up again, the woman's lips curled into a reluctant smile. Maria exhaled, feeling a little lighter. Maybe she was winning her over. The children took off, focusing on their cookie projects, and Maria could feel her confidence growing with each giggle and squeal. Just as they began to chat about their favorite flavors, Jake spoke up, his voice a gentle nudge. You're onto something. This community is starting to see the real you. Maria caught Lucy's eye as she danced around the table, helping another child with an especially tall cookie tower. In that moment, Maria realized that it was more than the cookies. It was about connection. Each interaction, each shared joy, was a step toward belonging, a way to weave her family into the fabric of this place. But as the oven timer dinged again, signaling the next batch was ready. Maria's heart raced. They were running out of time, and the woman still hadn't fully committed. Would her efforts be enough? Would they see her as one of their own? She stole a glance at the woman, whose gaze was fixed intently on the children, a flicker of pride in her eyes revealing hidden depth. Maybe, just maybe, she was beginning to understand what it meant to belong. Maria's thoughts swirled with new energy as she helped the children pull the cookies from the oven. She had come too far to turn back now. But lurking in the shadows of her heart was a powerful truth. The journey to acceptance would require more than cookies and laughter. What would it take to bridge the final gap? The laughter filled the air again, buoyed by fresh cookies. But Maria sensed that the true challenge was waiting. One that could reshape not only her future, but that of everyone she loved. As she prepared for whatever was next, a nagging question danced in her mind. What would it mean to truly bring love into this community? Would she be brave enough to face what lay ahead? The noise in the kitchen swelled, a cacophony of laughter and chatter. As Maria laid the hot cookies onto cooling racks, she felt a surge of energy course through her veins. She watched the children gather around, gingerly reaching for the cookies, their faces lit up with anticipation. There was innocence in their eyes, an eagerness that made her heart swell. "Okay, everyone," she called out, clapping her hands. "We're going to have a cookie tasting. But first, I want to hear what you think makes a cookie truly special." Little hands shot up, each kid eager to share. "Chocolate," shouted one girl, her braids bouncing as she beamed. "Sprinkles," chimed in Anya, who seemed to shine with pride at her cookie's artistic flair. Each answer resonated with truth. It was in those simple ingredients, joy, creativity, and the spirit of sharing. As the tasting began, the kitchen was a whirlwind of discussion. Maria moved between the tables, sampling the treats created by her little bakers. "Delicious," she exclaimed, feigning an over-the-top reaction as she tied herself to their excitement. But inside, she wrestled with her own emotions. Would any of this impress the woman watching from the corner? Jake approached her, scooping a cookie topped with what looked like a candy explosion. "You're really something, you know that?" he said gently, taking a bite. "They adore you." Maria smiled, but beneath the warmth of his words was a flicker of uncertainty. She had potential, but did she truly fit into this place? The woman's critical gaze still hovered in the background, a constant reminder that she needed to prove herself. "Let us make a batch together. The best batch ever," Maria suggested to the children, her enthusiasm bubbling. The kids bounced with excitement, scrambling for ingredients. She felt one of the children tug at her apron. It was Lucy, her eyes bright. "Can we make it with your love, Maria?" The sincerity in Lucy's voice caught her off guard. In this moment, Maria realized that love could mean so many things. It was not just in the act of baking, but in every interaction, every shared smile. She knelt down to Lucy's level. "Yes, sweetie. We'll bake it with all our love." The kitchen transformed into a frenzy of movement. Flour drifted in the air, laughter echoed off the walls, and the smell of sweetening dough curled around them like a blanket. It was a simple moment of happiness, but Maria felt the challenge of the mysterious woman pricking at her resolve. Would this be enough? As they worked side by side, she could see the woman's expression shift. There was intrigue. There was approval. The wall she had built around herself was beginning to show cracks, and for the first time, Maria understood. Acceptance could follow vulnerability. The spirit of community was growing around her like the rising dough in the mixing bowl. The moment was electric, and yet, an unsettling thought trickled in. What if it all fell apart? What if the attention of the woman turned back to scrutiny? Maria's heart raced as she kneaded the dough with determination, praying for courage. "All right, team. We're almost there," she called, her voice ringing through the kitchen. The children erupted into cheers, rallying around her. Each shout pushed the fear deeper into the background. If only for a moment they prepared for the grand reveal. She stole a glance at the woman, whose eyes now held a hint of warmth, accompanied by a fading caution. Perhaps she was beginning to understand. But still, uncertainty flickered at the edges of Maria's heart. Was her heart enough? Would love truly shine through the chaos of flour and frosting? Just as the kitchen was ready for the big moment, a voice broke through the cheerful noise. Remember, Maria, love is the secret ingredient. She froze, caught in a moment of clarity. It was Jake's line, but it echoed in her own heart as if it was an understanding waiting to ignite. What would happen when the final batch was revealed? Would it seal her place among them? Or would it expose her as a fraud? The stakes were high, and as she looked at the children and then back at the woman, she understood that now was the time for bravery. Could she truly lay her heart bare, not just in cookies, but in every ounce of herself? As they gathered around the table, the warmth of community flickering in the air, Maria took a deep breath, preparing to share not just a cookie, but a piece of herself. Little did she know, the next moment would test everything she thought she knew about love, acceptance, and what it meant to truly belong. Would she be ready to face the truth waiting just beyond the laughter? As Maria stood by the table, the vibrant colors of icing and sprinkles mixed with the sweet aroma of freshly baked cookies enveloped her. The children, buzzing with excitement, looked at her with wide eyes, their faces glowing in the soft, warm kitchen light. In this whirlwind of giggles and creativity, she felt both exhilarated and terrified. Okay, everyone. On the count of 3, we'll reveal our masterpiece. Her voice rang out, anchored in determination. Maria's heart pounded, unsure if the thrill was from the children's anticipation or her own fear. She glanced sideways, searching for the mysterious woman among the chaos. The woman watched with a discerning gaze, and any warmth that had begun to blossom in Maria's chest started to wilt again. Counting down with the children, she felt the energy build. 1, 2, 3. They lifted the lids off the cake stands, revealing a riot of colors and the sheer joy of creation that they had made together. But before she could fully bask in the moment, her eyes caught the woman. Was that a hint of doubt flickering in the depths of her gaze? Maria's heart sank. Wow! Exclaimed Lucy, their youngest baker, who pointed at her cookie creation with wonder. Look, it looks like a rainbow. Yeah. And it's so sweet, cheered Anya. Her cheeks flushed from the mix of excitement and sugar. The kitchen erupted with cheers, laughter filling every corner like a sweet melody. But Maria felt caught between their joy and her rising anxiety. In that instant, the mixture of colors and sugary delights didn't seem enough. She realized she had painted the cookies with her heart, but could they taste that? Jake stepped closer, his easy smile a balm to her worries. You did this, Maria. Look how happy they are. His voice was steady, grounding her in the swirling chaos. Do you think the lady likes them? Maria asked, her voice barely above a whisper, her eyes darting to the woman who remained silent, arms crossed. Look, he replied. She's still here, isn't she? That has to mean something. Clenching her fists, Maria took a breath. Maybe she hesitated, trailed by doubt. Suddenly, she recalled her conversation with Lucy. Love truly was the secret ingredient. Wasn't that what they had poured into their cookies, every giggle, every sprinkle? At that moment, Maria made a choice. Let us share something extra special, she said, grabbing a fresh batch of cookies and arranging them on a large platter. These are the cookies with love, she declared, lifting the platter high. For everyone here. The children cheered, clapping their tiny hands, and began passing out the cookies. But Maria's heart raced as she approached the woman, each step heavy with trepidation. Would you like to try one? Maria asked, her voice trembling. The woman hesitated, then took a cookie, examining it as though it held the secrets of the universe. Maria held her breath, waiting for her reaction. The woman finally said, taking a tentative bite. All eyes were on her, and Maria could feel the pulse of anticipation wrapping tightly around her heart. Just then Lucy reached out and said, they're not only cookies. They're filled with our happiness. She grinned wide, brightening the room with her innocence. As the woman chewed, a slight smile broke through her stern expression, and Maria felt a flicker of hope. Was this what acceptance tasted like? But then the woman's eyes flicked back to Maria, a flicker of something deeper in her gaze. You have a lovely group here, Maria. But making cookies isn't enough. Maria's heart twisted painfully at her words, a familiar panic rising within her. Suddenly, doubts surged back like a tidal wave. Was this all she could do? Would her heart ever be enough? Before she could question herself further, the door burst open. A cold rush swept through the kitchen, causing everyone to look up. In walked an unexpected visitor, shattering the fragile moment they had crafted. The laughter stilled for a beat, tension hanging thick in the air as eyes turned toward the newcomer. Who was it? And what would they interrupt in this unfolding moment of courage? As Maria stood there, bracing herself against the storm of uncertainty, she felt the ground shift beneath her. Would love still lead her forward, or would this stranger unravel it all? Maria's heart raced, not just from the effect of tension, but from sheer anxiety about the identity of the newcomer. The door swung wide, revealing a tall figure draped in a thick winter coat, brushing the snow from their hair before stepping into the warm, fragrant kitchen. "Can I talk to you, Maria?" The figure spoke, a voice smooth yet urgent. It was a man, his features hidden by the shadow of his collar and the dim light. Everyone's eyes darted back and forth, a collective gasp escaping from the children, their excitement quickly shifting to confusion. "Who is he?" Anya whispered to Lucy, her eyes glinting with curiosity. Maria felt the weight of the room pressing down on her. She stammered, trying to process this sudden intrusion. She glanced around. Jake looked ready to defend her from whatever this unexpected visitor could want. The man took a step forward, his eyes fixed on Maria, a seriousness in his expression that made her stomach churn. "We really need to talk," he repeated, unwavering. "What about?" Maria replied, trying to inject some bravado into her quivering voice. "It's regarding your application," he said, a hint of hesitation cutting through his urgency. "Your profile. It's drawn attention and I think you need to know." "What profile?" The question escaped before she could stop it, confusion mingling with unease. Questions began firing in her mind. What had he seen? What did he know? Jake stepped between her and the stranger, a protective stance that enveloped Maria in a bubble of safety. "Back off. This is a private celebration. Whatever you're trying to say, it can wait." Maria widened her eyes at Jake, torn. Was this a bad thing? Uncertainty dripped from the air, hanging thick like the frosting on their cookies. She could feel the kids shifting restlessly, their innocent excitement dampened. The man took a deep breath, glancing at the kids and then back at Maria. "Look, I'm sorry for the interruption, but I truly believe you need to hear this." Ignoring the tension in the room, Maria felt a strange pull towards him. An inkling of recognition sparked within. Was it possible they shared something deeper? Or was it only the chaos of the last few moments making her think that? "Can it wait until after the cookies?" Lucy piped up, stepping up to Maria, wide-eyed and filled with innocence. "They taste like happiness, you know. You don't want to ruin that." A small smile broke on Maria's face, admiration for Lucy's spirit reframing the moment. But the man shook his head gently. "I'm afraid it can't. It's about your future and opportunity that could change everything for you." Maria's breath hitched. Future? That word seemed to hang in the air, pregnant with possibility, yet shadowed by fear. She wondered if this unexpected visitor was extending a lifeline, or throwing her into deeper uncertainty. "I'll hear you out," Maria finally declared. "But I need the kids to understand it's not a bad thing." "Of course," the man assured her, glancing at the small group of hopeful, curious faces now peering around Jake's protective frame. With a determined nod from Maria, Jake stepped aside, tension still wrapped tightly around them like a coiled spring. Her heart thrummed in her chest, anticipating what revelations lay ahead. What could this man want from her? "I don't want to ruin their happiness," she whispered to herself, staring at the innocent faces surrounding her. As the man stepped closer, his voice softened. "Maria, you have a gift and I'm here to help you unwrap it." Doubt swelled within her, twisting her insides with uncertainty. What did that even mean? Was she ready for a change, or would it cost her the joy she had just discovered? The muffled laughter in the background faded into a soft echo, leaving only the heaviness of the moment. What was she willing to risk for a chance at something more? As the man spoke again, Maria knew a decision loomed. Her heart was aching to leap forward, but it was all too new. It all felt too daunting. Would she take the leap, or would she retreat once more into the safety of her kitchen, hiding among the sweet memories of cookies and laughter? Choosing a path would be the hardest ingredient she would ever face, and for the first time, Maria questioned whether she had the courage to make it. The man's gaze locked onto Maria's, piercing through her fortress of indecision. She could see a flicker of something hope, perhaps, or was it desperation? It tugged at her heart, resonating with the fears she kept buried deep. Maria, trust me, he said, his tone steady but laced with urgency. This could be the chance you didn't even know you were waiting for. Chance, Jake interjected, inching closer to Maria, his protective instincts flaring. What kind of chance? Is this some kind of scam? Frustration flashed across the man's face as he raised his hands, palms out, trying to calm the storm of emotions. I'm not here to harm anyone. I'm offering Maria the opportunity to use her talents for something greater. A chance for her voice to be heard. To make a difference. Maria's pulse quickened at his words. She had always longed to share her story, to be understood beyond the confines of her kitchen. But a lifetime of self-doubt flooded her mind. She could already feel the expectations swirling around her, drowning out the comforting resonance of the laughter from the kids' laughter she so dearly wanted to preserve. But what if he was right? What if she had a gift worth sharing? I don't know, Maria stammered, her voice shaky as she wrestled with the thought. What does that even mean? What would I have to do? It means using your experiences, your warmth. You'll have to step into the world that's reaching out to you, he urged, taking a small step closer, closing the distance between them. There's more waiting out there than you can imagine, a chance to inspire others. But I can't just, her voice shook, leave all of this behind. She gestured to the kitchen, to the cookies, the children's laughter, everything that made her feel anchored. Jake's hand rested lightly on her shoulder, grounding her in the moment. You don't have to decide right now, he said, his voice steady, finding the balance between protecting her and pushing her toward necessary growth. His words stretched far beyond the moment. It was a gentle reminder that she didn't have to jump blindly into the unknown. There could be a path where she could embrace change while carrying her past with her. The excitement buzzing from the children cut through her spiraling thoughts. Lucy's eyes sparkled, her innocence illuminating the room. What if it's about our cookies? She asked, her face filled with wonder. Those are like magic, right? Laughter bubbled around them as the kids exchanged glances, each full of their own unspoken ideas. Maria felt that thread of hope tightening around her heart, stitching together the fabric of fear and excitement. Could you really show me how? Maria turned her gaze back to the man. Doubt still danced in her mind, but a flicker of something else was taking root. A desire. The taste of possibility. Absolutely, the man said, a spark of determination returning to his eyes. But it's going to mean stepping away from your comfort zone. You'll need to trust me and trust yourself. Maria could feel the weight of the decision shift. No longer a painful burden, but a choice filled with the glow of potential. Fear was a constant, but there was also something exhilarating about the unknown. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed from the kitchen table, pulling everyone's attention. It buzzed again, insistent. Heart racing, Maria reached for it, glancing at the screen. An unfamiliar number flashed back at her. The room held an anticipatory hush, electrified by her next move. She could feel the whole world hanging in the balance of that unresolved tension. Should she answer? Was it coincidence or fate? What if it's something important? She murmured, uncertain. As she hesitated, the man watched her intently. Maybe you should find out, he said, his voice low and steady. Maria's heart pounded, a cacophony of hope and dread. Should she step into the unknown and embrace the unknown opportunity, or stay safely nestled in the predictability of her kitchen? Taking a breath, Maria had a decision to make, and whatever she chose could change everything. Maria felt her heart racing, torn between the mystery pulsing from her phone and the gravity of the moment unfolding around her. Taking a deep breath, she recalled the warmth of laughter, the comfort of Lucy's small hand in hers, and the shared joy of creation filling the kitchen. These thoughts pushed back the chill of uncertainty, urging her to embrace the shift she had begun in her life. Maybe it's time to see what's waiting for me, she murmured, more to herself than anyone else. With a determined nod, Maria grabbed her phone, her fingers trembling as she swiped to answer. Hello? She said, her voice wavering with a mix of anticipation and fear. The man before her stepped back, sensing the shift in energy, watching her closely. Is this Maria? A confident voice asked from the other end. Yes, it is, she replied, her heart quickening. Hi, I'm with a local news station, and we've heard about the incredible connection you've formed with the community through your baking. We'd love to feature your story, your journey to becoming a part of this wonderful town. The initial shock froze her in place. Thoughts raced like wildfire in her head. Could this really be happening? Was this a chance to finally share her truth, to speak her heart, her struggles, and the love she had discovered in this small town? Are you still there? The voice asked, pulling her back to the moment. Yes. I'm here, Maria exclaimed, excitement bubbling beneath her trepidation. I'd love to share my story. As she clasped the phone tighter, Lucy dashed forward, joining her side. Mom, what is happening? She asked, eyes wide with hope. Maria turned to her daughter, her heart swelling. It's an opportunity, Lucy, to show everyone how much love can grow in unexpected places. But just as joy washed over her, the woman's skeptical voice cut through the air like a knife. This is great, Maria, but you really think a spotlight will change anything? You're still that mail-order bride. The tense atmosphere shifted once more, but something inside Maria had ignited anew, allowing doubt to crumble under the weight of determination. I know who I am. I'm not just a label. I'm a mother, a friend, and a part of this community. Jake stepped forward, his fierce pride radiating warmth. She's right. We've all come together, and this is her chance to shine. With every word, Maria felt strength coursing through her. She turned to the woman, whose expression softened slightly. I understand your hesitation, Maria said earnestly. But this is about more than me. It's about all of us, the laughter, the cookies, the love we create together. This community thrives on connection. The crowd, now buzzing with energy, began to murmur amongst themselves, curious expressions replacing judgment. The children chimed in, nodding eagerly. Yeah. Love is what makes everything special. Lucy shouted, her tiny enthusiasm a beacon of hope. The woman considered Maria's words, the harsh lines of her face beginning to soften. Maria could see a flicker of understanding break through the barriers that had kept them apart. Maybe the cookies are a gift. Maybe they can tell your story. With renewed resolve, she turned back to the phone. I want to do it, she announced, her voice vibrating with certainty. Yes, let us tell my story. Let us show everyone how love can transform fear. Cheers erupted from the children, filling the air with laughter once more. And as Maria held her phone tightly, warmth spread through her heart. She looked at Lucy, who beamed with pride, then at Jake, who nodded in full support. And in that moment, a surge of acceptance washed over her. The whispers of doubt faded like distant echoes. This was her life, her choice. She was ready to embrace the adventure ahead, knowing that the love she had cultivated with Jake, Lucy, and the community would guide her. With one last glance toward the mysterious man who had spoken opportunity into existence, she smiled. Thank you for believing in me. As she stepped forward into the room filled with joy, laughter, and possibilities, Maria felt the warmth of belonging wrap around her like a well-worn quilt, every stitch sewn with love. She could already imagine the story unfolding on screen, her journey from fear into power. A mail-order bride who discovered who she truly was among the threads of community. And as the kids gathered around, demanding another cookie tasting, she knew with certainty that this had just begun. This was the moment she had waited for. To share her love, her journey, and to embrace all that lay ahead now. It's your turn, dear friends. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories of transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this heartwarming ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible journey of love. You need to show your support, because only true fans understand the importance of helping this community flourish.